Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Owner Corona, good afternoon. Felicia Fee, good afternoon. Hey, J. Dot, my vlog son, good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome, everyone, to Wednesday Word. Joyce Vlogs, good afternoon. Welcome to Wednesday Word. Well, I am so grateful that you all are here, to all of the content creators that are here, and to my moderators. Alzona McIntosh, welcome, welcome. Blessings to you. Sonia Swaby, welcome, welcome. Monk Chip, good afternoon, and welcome. Welcome and welcome and welcome to all of the beautiful people, all of the great content creators that are here. I'd like to first give a thank you. Only being real, welcome. A thank you to all of the wonderful content creators that have shared, to my new subscribers and my older subscribers. I appreciate your support and your attention and your love and your sharing. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you and thank you and thank you. Trina C., good afternoon. Tamriel, good afternoon. Trevor Flowers, welcome. Thank you for being here. For being here. I appreciate all of you on this Wednesday afternoon. I appreciate you being here. Gratty Baby 71, thank you for being here. Well, I'm glad. Gratty Baby 71. Well, I have a word for Word Wednesday, for Wednesday Word. That this word, in observation of some of the things that have been going on, both in YouTube and in my personal life, perfectly scared. Welcome. Rum Raisin, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Both in my personal life and what I've observed here on YouTube has had an effect. It's very funny how things that you see and how they affect you, and things that you experience, how they affect you, to the point where you can, if you're not strong and if you don't reinforce who you are, they can change you. They can cause you to feel a certain type of way, and you become part of the problem rather than the solution. Now, this is also in connection with Cupcakes. Good afternoon. This is also in connection with the question that Sean Bradley put out: are you part of the problem? And so, in looking at that question and then doing a self-evaluation, because that's what that really evokes. It evokes a self-evaluation of going inside of yourself and actually looking at yourself and determining whether you are a part of the problem or a part of the solution. So you begin to identify the things that you've allowed to control you through your feelings, through what you see, through what you hear, and control you and make you part of the problem rather than part of the solution. So today's word is transform. Transform. Today's word is transform. Today's word again is transform. 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 I say that several times because we have learned that one of the ways that we learn is through repetition. So when I say it over and over again, I want you to hear it so that it goes in and it goes past the conscious mind into the subconscious mind and takes root. Okay? Transform is to make a thorough dramatic change in the form, appearance, or character of. To transform is to make a thorough change, is to make a thorough or dramatic change in the form, appearance, or character of. Okay, so to transform is to make a thorough change, not just changing on the subject, not just changing on the surface. We have a tendency to change on the surface. Now, if you have observed, if you have been observing some of the things that have gone on YouTube lately, you see that there has been some transformations, but they've only been on the surface. Because as soon as individuals see the opportunity to take someone down, to hurt someone, to destroy someone, they quickly change from that transformation that they did to appear as if they have calmed down, as if they have changed. They quickly take the opportunity to tear someone down, which is unbelievable. And I remember someone saying this week, in seeing some of the things that was going on, they were saying, how do you feel comfortable? And I'm putting it in my own words. How do you feel comfortable tearing someone down that is part of you, that is connected to you? And how do you feel vindicated? Or how do you feel like how do you get a feeling of accomplishment and a feeling of pride in tearing someone down that is connected to you? We are all connected. We are all connected. We are all connected. One more time. We are all connected. Okay, what's going on with this thing? We are all connected. And it is very important that we understand that, and that we govern ourselves accordingly. Because again, if you hurt your finger, a lot of times more than just your finger feels the pain. So transform is to make a thorough or dramatic change. Let's stay on thorough. Let's just use thorough. It is to make a thorough change in form, appearance, or character. Let me read it like this. Transformation is to make a thorough change in your character. A thorough change in your character. And in order to make a change in your character, you must first make a change in your thought pattern. How you think is very important. Now, there is a scripture in the Bible, and you all know that I refer to the Bible because that is my go to. However, that is not to say that that is not to down what anybody else believes, because again, it is all connected. It is all connected. People talk about the universe being, the universe. However, the word uni means that it means one. So that it means everything has come into one to make a universe. So the universal laws, when we talk about universal laws, that means that all the laws, all the principles of the universe come together to make one. So when you use them, the universe automatically acknowledges and accepts the use of it, and then it makes the changes that we need to make. It, in other words, it pays attention to what we're doing, and then it comes to our aid. There is a scripture that I like that goes along with this. And I think it is Romans 12. Where is it? Where is it? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I think it's Romans 12:2, I believe. And it reads like this: and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. Now, let me read that in the New Living Translation. Don't copy the behavior and customs of the world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. And I like the New Living Translation because it actually speaks loud. It actually speaks very loud to what we are talking about in transformation. So, in transforming thoroughly your character, we hear in this related scripture that it is important that we renew our mind. Okay? That we renew our mind. It is also important that we pay attention to our thought patterns, because your thoughts have a tendency to bring things into existence as well as your word, because 9 out of 10 times what we think we speak. Is there a witness in the house? Have you ever thought something, said it, and then the universe brought it to you? All right. Let's use, for example, something that you fear. We fear it in the mind, then we speak it into the atmosphere, and the universe, or the powers that be that govern the universe, the negative forces pick that negative thing up, and they work almost tirelessly to bring that thing into existence, to manifest it, because you spoke it, because you thought it and then spoke it. So then, transformation comes from the renewing, not renew, but renewing. So it is a constant process. It is on a constant, that we renew our minds so that we can live the transformation, so that we can experience the transformation. So in transforming, you have the thought pattern. You cannot transform one way or the other without a thought pattern that is consistent with your objective. So whatever it is that you want to become or want to do or want to be, your thought pattern or whatever you are is a product of your thought pattern. It is how you think. So when people see you, they see you, but they also see the way you think, because how you present yourself is how you think. So when you see individuals on YouTube that present themselves a certain way, it is how they think. And be advised, you cannot change anyone else's thought pattern. You cannot change how they think. You can only offer. You can only offer a new perspective. You can only offer a different perspective. But to go in and try to change someone doesn't work. Does not work. However, being a support system for transformation is a wonderful thing. However, you must first work on yourself. You must first take inventory, take self-inventory. We must first take self-inventory, or take inventory of ourselves, and check out our thought pattern in order. And then when we come to the realization of who we really are, then we have to begin to renew our mind, letting go of all the old stuff that has caused us to be defeated, if you will, or to be stuck in a rut. Because it is so easy to get stuck in a rut. And again, it goes back to the thought patterns. It is the thought, it is the way we think that brings our reality to us. So we get stuck in a rut because we conform to what other people feel we ought to be. Oh gosh. And it was cool in here a minute ago. We have a tendency to be mesmerized by how other people portray themselves, and we want to be like them. And we get misguided. I have seen, since I have been on YouTube, I have seen some people come on YouTube and just give this wonderful aura, this wonderful feeling that you get from them. And then the people that they connect themselves with, or that they, well, I'll leave it at that they connect themselves with or associate with, they feel that they have to be like them in order to be liked by them. And so they conform to a certain behavior for clicks, for views, for coins, and for numbers. rather than being who they are and using the gifts that they were born with uh, to be successful on YouTube. When you do not look in yourself, when you try to be like someone else, when you do not transform your thinking, you lose. You may win for a season, but as I said, there's an expiration date on it. There is an expiration date on the negative behavior. There is an expiration date on it. However, in most times, people do not check the expiration date. So they don't know when it's coming. And all of a sudden, bam, and you lose everything. But when you transform, when you change how you think, changing how you think also changes how you see situations and people. Now, I said the other day, I think it was my last, video before my last live. I said, everyone has a spirit of discernment. They have discernment inside of them. You are born with it. So often, let me speak from my experience. So often, coming up, being raised in the church, people would say that, or make you feel that everybody does not have discernment, but they do. It's just that a lot of us don't know how to tap into it and activate it and use it on a continuous basis. So then, when you tap into it, when you activate it, when you release it, you'll be able to discern what's good or what's good for you and what's not. So I learned, or I got more into myself and began to tap into it. Because again, if you don't think you have discernment, you do. It is, again, it is a gift that is given. And why is it a gift that's been given to you? It is a gift that has been given to you because when the Creator created you and he breathed into you the breath of life, which is the essence of God, the essence of the Creator, you have a portion of everything that God is. One of the major differences is that you are in a finite body. You are in a limited body, so you can't do everything. However, what you can is tap into the entire universe just by tapping into the divine part of you. So then you're able to discern what is good for you, what is best for you, and what you need to leave alone. But in order to recognize these things, you have to, it is imperative that you transform by the renewing of your thought pattern, replacing all the thoughts that bind you with all the thoughts that make you free. We are enslaved by our negative thought pattern more than being enslaved by the white man, so to speak, more than being enslaved by the racism and policies. We are enslaved by our own thinking. And that is important to know. We are enslaved by our own thinking more than anyone else can enslave us. You have control over your thought pattern. We have control over what we think and how we think. So if you want to be a powerful individual, then you have to transform your thinking. By what? By renewing your mind, by feeding your mind with the things that make your mind powerful in thought. By making your mind powerful in principle. And remember, I explained principle in a couple of videos. Principle is like a pattern to a designer or to someone that sews. No matter where in the world you take that pattern to make that garment is going to come out the same. And that's the principle of principle. That's the principle of principle. Wherever you practice the principle, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're broke. It doesn't matter if you're rich. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle, half broke, half rich. You will find that if you practice the principle will work. It will work. But again, the practice of principle starts in the mind. And then the body follows, or the body obeys. So, in order to make the transformation, in order to transform, you have to first transform the mind, and then everything else will follow. The thought pattern has to be changed. And in my observation of a lot of the things that are happening on YouTube, it is because the thought pattern of people have become so that they are stuck. They are stuck in that thought pattern where it's get. Get coins, get numbers, get beef in order to get coins and to get numbers. When if you are gifted and talented and you operate in the principles of your gift and talent, your numbers and your coins will automatically come. They will automatically come. They will automatically manifest. And you know, you look at some of this beef, and you personally, a lot of it, I can't sit and watch the whole thing. Part of it, and when it just gets me, or as my grandmother say, it just gets my goat when people beat a dead horse. The horse is dead, and you keep beating it. You beat it so much until you're even beating it while the maggots are eating it and the flies, and you still beating the dead horse. Do you not smell that the horse is dead? Do you not smell that that horse is dead while you're beating it as it's decaying and as it's being eaten up by flies and by the maggots and all this kind of stuff? Do you not smell that smell? It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. How, again, transform. Let's begin to transform. Okay, what we have done, we have all looked inside of ourselves this past weekend, and we have determined whether we are part of the problem. And we should have determined how we have become part of the problem. Whether we have spoke out about the situation or whether we condone it by not saying a word. Whether we have stood up against situations or whether we have sat down. Whether we have confronted some of the wrong or whether we haven't, we have determined that one way or another, we are part of the problem. So now, since we have already started the inward look, the inward evaluation, let's do what we do when we clean out our closets. When we clean out our closets, we look through for the things that we haven't worn in a while. We look for the things that we want to get rid of. And we want to replace those things with, number one, the newer things and the things that we grab and go with. So let's begin to take out the stuff that we don't need, that is not producing fruit. In any farmland or what have you, or any garden where we're planting, we constantly have to deal with weeds, especially when the ground is real fertile. We have to recognize the weeds and pluck them up from the root. So those things that we don't need, those things that we acknowledge is destructive, we root it out. And we continually plant the stuff that will bear fruit. And I said this before, and I'm going to share this with you. Anytime you plant a seed, once that seed goes into the ground and the germination process or the transformation process takes place, what comes up out of that ground is more of an abundance than what you planted. A corn stalk always have more than one ear. Mustard greens, when you plant a mustard seed, you always get a bushel. An apple seed will yield you a tree that gives you more than one apple. And here's the amazing part about that, is that when you cut that apple open, you always have more seeds to plant. So you plant one seed, you get an abundance, And then when you enjoy the fruit, you can also plant the seeds from the fruit that you're enjoying. So it's an ongoing process. It is a blessing in abundance. It is more than what you bargained for. It's more than what you planted. So how does that relate? That relates like this. When you replace a negative thought in your mind with positive thoughts, it yields you an abundance of positive energy, and it manifests more positiveness than you planted. Much more. And then here's another thing. It becomes contagious. People will begin to look at you and not just like you, but admire you and become open. They become open to getting the nuggets that you drop or the nuggets that you spread, that they can now plant within their mind those thoughts and become even more successful, just as personal inside as the manifestation of it. Remember, again, we're all connected. So whether you're negative or positive, you're going to draw people to you that are like you. And where there are two or three that walk together, that come together, negatively or positively, that energy becomes increased. That energy becomes increased. So let us begin to examine ourselves. Examine ourselves to see exactly where we stand. Pay close attention to the thoughts that pop into your head. Good afternoon, Miss Gina, Queen of Talk. Wow, thank you for coming. Thank you so much. Wow. Sonia Swaby, welcome. 6 of 7. You know how I feel about you. Let's be more cognizant and let's practice the word that I used before. And I'm grateful to Iyanla Van Sant for this word, because this word, I'm telling you, this word has really become part of my person. You know, Kibis. Keep your big mouth, your big yap shut. Keep your big yap shut. So often, there are times when I would speak. However, I begin to discern the time, I begin to discern the situation, and I begin to discern what the words I would say in that. And then I find out that it's not necessary. It's not necessary to say. So the example of that is that I stop that negative action and replace it with a positive thought pattern. In other words, I renewed the thought that would lead me into a negative encounter or negative interaction. And I'm going to say that because, and I say that because I've heard some things about me on these YouTube streets, and you see I'm smiling and sort of kind of chuckling because number one, I know they're not true. That's number one. Number two, is it worth at this point a response? The answer is no. Why? Because I do what I do, and I am who I am, and there has to be an example. There has to be an example. I cannot sit here and say things to you all and then not be an example. Now, yes, there are some things that are said that I will address. And there are some people that I will address. But at the end of the day, when I count up the cost, everybody is not worth my attention. And everyone's opinion, in my experience and what my journey is not welcomed, and it has nothing to do with where I'm trying to go. It has nothing to do with my journey. Nothing whatsoever. So is it worth me taking a couple of minutes or a whole hour video to combat it, or to confront it, or to speak on it? Or do I take that hour live and pour out to people, encourage people, motivate people, strengthen people? It's more important that I strengthen people. So the example is in my continuing my journey and sharing as I go along, and letting them talk what they talk, say what they say. My grandmother used to have a saying: if you think you're going to get away from what you say, keep on living. Keep on living. Because there's a lot of things that if you sit back and watch, there are a lot of things on here that are exhausting, and you become exhausted when you engage. However, also you will see that those exhausted people are playing themselves out. You see that their content has become boring. They have become tiresome. And when you watch, it becomes a nag. And you don't want to fall into that. So you keep going and you let the talkers talk. Because what's going to happen is that they are going to talk themselves out. And don't be so concerned with the numbers. Outspoken One, good afternoon. Fee O'Brien, yes, good afternoon. Know Your Own Worth, welcome. And I'm glad to see you. So Glamorific, good afternoon. And you're right. They wind up with a whole lot of dislikes, with a ton of dislikes, because now people have grown tired of you doing the same old, same old, same old. You know, there was a video the other day. I'm in New York, 6 or 7. I'm in the state of New York. I was watching, and I can only watch part of it because this individual began to grieve my very spirit, because I was, I like that, Felicia Fee. Let's activate to transform. Oh, baby, that's a good one. Oh, that's a sermon topic right there. See, now, Felicia V, you starting something. You starting something. But what we want to do is we want to, as I was saying, that I could only watch a little bit of it because, and see, this is the thing. This is the thing. You will begin to notice, especially when you begin to transform and renew your mind. What happens is you begin to see people clearly, and you can not looking for their decline, because you're not looking for anybody to fail. You're not looking, and you're not hoping. That's not the place where you're standing. You're not looking in judgment, but you're seeing the effects of their thoughts and their character on the outside. Remember, everything we are works from the outside, from the inside out. And our circumstances, which are on the outside, only become our circumstances when we allow them in us. And I have to pay homage, if you will, and give props to D. Ramsey, because D. Ramsey said it last night. D. Ramsey said it last night. There are several portals. There are several portals that we have that we that if we're not careful, if we don't guard them, that we will let the negative energy into us. And that is your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. So even when the Bible says to guard your heart, it is not talking about the heart that's pumping. It is the heart of your mind. It is how you think. Guard how you think. And how do you guard that? You guard that by what you hear, what you see, what you smell, and what you say. Even to the point of what you eat and what you drink. Because those are the way things get into you. So if you don't guard them, all kinds of garbage will come into you. And when it's time, when positive people come into your life to share and to impart and to pour into you, you will not be able to accept it because you can't recognize it. You won't be able to recognize it. But I was looking at this individual because, well, I'm not going to go there, but I was looking at this individual and I was looking at how they now look totally different. They're beginning to look different. Why? Because of their thought pattern. Their thought pattern. Their mind is not being renewed. They say that they have power. They say that they have anointing. They say that they are called. They say. But what you're saying, if it is not congruent with your thought pattern and your behavior, there needs to be a transformation. There needs to be a going back to your first work. Listen, God never leaves anyone. I'm going to say it again. God never leaves anyone. We are part of him. He is in us and with us. However, we make a choice to leave God and not listening to the God that is in us when he is telling us, go right, don't go left. Because on the left side, it looks glamorous. It looks like success. It looks wonderful. It looks like we can skip the grade. We don't have to go through the process. It looks like the quicker success. However, at the end of it, the cost, you must count up the cost. And when you don't count up the cost and you make that decision, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for it. There's no such reality as something for nothing. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it slowly. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Everything has a cost. Every decision has a consequence. Every decision. The question is, are you willing to take responsibility for the decisions that you make? What we tend to do is we tend to make the decision and be proud of it and boastful of it. And then when we get the bill for it, we hem-haw, we cry, we roll on the floor, we hold our breath, and the whole 9 yards. Because we're not able to respond to the fact that we now have to pay. We never ask ourselves before we make the decision, can I afford this decision? Can I afford it in time? Can I afford it in process? And I'm going to tell you something about making certain decisions. Making certain decisions in the moment feel good. It feels good to go after somebody. It really does, especially when you feel that they've done you wrong. Oh, that feels wonderful. Let them know where I'm coming from. Let me give them a piece of my mind. The unfortunate part is that the piece of your mind that you give them is so very important to your entire mental health that you don't think about it, and you go ahead and give that person a piece of your mind, and now they got you controlled. And every time they want to see you react, they pull a string because you gave them a piece of your mind. You let them know. Is it always necessary? Is it always important? I'm learning how to just let people talk. And while people are talking, I'm doing what I do. I'm doing what I do. And I'm going to tell you something. I have been the type of individual that, I am the type of individual that will let you know straight up. God has blessed me with a tongue that can cut just like a two-edged sword, cutting all the way through the marrow and the bone. But however, there had to be a transformation. And see, the indication is that when a person is able to give and to express and to use their gift, if you will, to encourage people, to motivate people, to build people up, take a clue. Take a clue. Because that also means that that individual is so capable with their tongue. I don't know why this stuff is popping up on my screen in the middle of my live. This is not the first time this has happened. What's going on here? Nope, that's not what I want. Are you kidding me? What in the... Okay, there we go. Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. You have to take a clue. You have to take a clue. And I listen. Hey, Mr. Sean Bradley, welcome. When I listen to different individuals on here, because I'm more attracted to people that have sense. Okay. I'm more attracted to people on here that have sense, that are witty, that share. And I listen to how they speak. I listen to how they share. I listen to their intellect in their verbiage and how they phrase things. And I have taken a clue that if, in fact, these individuals need to go in, they know exactly how to go in. I said that to say this: never underestimate a person that may not come back on you when you come for them. Beware, because that person may break you down so low that it may be difficult for you to recover, because they're not going to come for your looks. They're not going to come for your looks. They're going to come for the you, the inner man, that they see through the outer shell and they see who you really are. That's who they're going to come for. Straight through the heart, which is so devastating. So therefore, I've elected not to pay attention to a lot of the things that have been said and those who said them. And all I say is, keep on living, bro. Keep on living, sis. And then look at the track record of the individuals. Look at the behavior that implies the thought pattern. And me coming back at you is a waste of my valuable time. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my energy. I reserve that energy for people that need my encouragement and need the motivation that I can give them. And it's so much more rewarding. You know, I never thought, when I decided to do Wednesday Word, it was on a whim, and I never really, to be truthful, I never considered that the Wednesday Word would be so effective. And when I realized how effective Wednesday Word was, it made me feel warm. Y'all have to excuse me. It made me feel a little warm and fuzzy inside, because, well, I'm not going to go into the deep things about it, but I'm glad that I did it, because listen, and I said this, oh gosh, I said this in somebody's chat. I don't remember whose chat it was. When you are expounding, it's just like when a preacher is up in the pulpit and they're preaching. Um, Let me speak from my own experience. Let me say that. For me to get up in the pulpit, or anywhere for that matter, and expound the word of God, in my studies and in my putting that word together, what happens is that word comes to me first. It finds me first. It exposes me to me first. Okay, so when I say transform and renew your mind, it comes to me first. It goes inside of me because there's some things that I have to relate to. There's some things that have to be rooted up out of me. There's some exposure. In other words, there's some exposure that the word does to me, so that when I give it out, I'm giving it out from not only an intellectual from an intellectual standpoint, but from a personal experience. A personal experience. A person that is doing the work in progress. Doing the work in progress. In other words, I'm progressing, doing the work within myself, taking a look at myself, taking inventory, examining myself. And I'm going to tell y'all something, and I challenge you. If you begin to examine yourself and do the work, you ain't got time to pay attention to nobody else's foolishness. You know, there used to be, when I was growing up in the church, there used to be a song. I can't even remember the song, but I remember the name of the song was, "I've got 6 months to mind my business and 6 months to leave yours alone," which makes my calendar year all full. Because as soon as I get my business together, I am ready for a 6-month rest. And then after the 6 months rest is up, I'm at it again, because we always are in a process. We are always on a journey. We are always a work in progress. No one has achieved it yet. No one has gotten to the complete end. We're all a work in progress. So I challenge you on this Wednesday to examine yourself, to take self-inventory and identify the things, the personalities, the idiosyncrasies that do not profit you, and pluck them out and replace them with the thought patterns that will profit you. And again, when it profits you, it profits someone else, because we are all connected. We're all connected. And you find yourself being a living example. See, this is the thing that we have to get to. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. But let me see the example. People want to see an example. Your wonderful, smooth words, you're talking low and trying to bring people under submission by speaking in a low, wispy, sensual voice to appeal to their emotion and to make them feel like falling in love. No. All that's manipulation. But let's look inside ourselves and let's begin to work. Let's do the work. You have the tools. You have the tools. Because all that stuff to try to seduce people, again, there's always an expiration date on that. There's always an expiration date on manipulation. Believe me, Jim Jones is a prime example. There was an expiration date. And that expiration date was that day that they drank the Kool-Aid. That manipulation expired. Some of them were blessed and covered by the Creator because they didn't drink the Kool-Aid. So when you go into these different chats, I mean, having fun is great. It's great to have fun. But be discerning. Tap into that discernment. And consider if it's good to you, good for you, or both. Because everything that's good to you is not good for you. Let me say that again. Everything that is good to you is not good for you. Again, understand me. Understand me. I'm not speaking from what somebody told me. I am speaking from my own experience. Everything that is good to you is not good for you. And when that voice inside of you tells you it's not good for you, you have a choice to make. See, because I can very well sit up here and tell you, if it tells you don't, then don't. However, no, I'm not going to tell you what to do. All I'm going to say is that at that very point, at that very moment, you have a choice to make. And whatever choice you make, by all means, be responsible for that for that choice. Whatever choice it is, be responsible. In other words, if it's the wrong choice, be able to respond in a way that you can handle what comes with it. It's important because remember, people are watching you that you least expect. And again, we are living in an era now where the millennials want to see receipts. The millennials want to see receipts, concrete evidence. And each of our lives is concrete evidence, whether to support or deny what we say to the millennials. We have a responsibility. Yes, there is a different there is a gap between us's and the millennials. There is a gap. However, if we yield ourselves to understand where they're coming from, if we take the time to relate, there will be no gap. There will be an understanding. And guess what? Guess what? How much more powerful you'll be to be able to relate. Okay, they need concrete evidence. They need an intelligent explanation. They need to see me walk the walk. Or better yet, they need to see me walk the talk. They need to see me be who I say I am. How can each one teach one without an example? Again, we're so used to those old ways, and I'm telling you, I'm grateful for my experiences because I had to learn early, dude, I can't do what you say do and not do what you do because I see what you're doing. You're trying to teach me confusion, contradiction, and paradox. You're supposed to be somebody that I'm looking up to, and you're telling me words, but your actions are telling me something different. Your behavior, again, your behavior um, tells people what your character is by your thought pattern or from your thought pattern. Your thought pattern has a tendency, no, not tendency, but it dictates how you behave. And how you behave is how people see you. However, on a different level, people see you and they hear you and they determine by listening whether, and then some people just dismiss it altogether. You sound good, so I'm gonna follow you. Well, I'm not following anybody into a ditch that is not paying attention because they want people to just follow them and not take not balance their word and their behaviors, because that individual will lead you. Yes, they will lead you, proudly lead you into destruction, in total destruction. Have not we observed this since we have been on here, that people have done that? So let us take inventory of ourselves, do a self whew, evaluation, examine ourselves, open ourselves up to ourselves with a knowledge that um, we want to transform. We want to transform. We want to change our thought patterns from what we've been thinking so that when we present ourselves as real, totally real. So much so that you can take my word to the bank. Because we have become what we speak about. And I'm going to tell you something. That is a powerful life. That is a successful life. That is a blessed life. When a person can say, that person right there, yo, they are what they speak about. They are the epitome of a leader, of a confidant. They are the example. They are the living example of the principles that the universe, that God, that the creator has put into place. They are that. They are very much that. So my people, let us begin to transform. And and the moment we transform, we will change, totally change this sector of YouTube. And it will become very uncomfortable for people to continue to do the destructive things that they do. Because they won't get the attention. They won't get the support. I was looking at some other things on YouTube, and how people jump on bandwagons when somebody falls or when somebody has a situation. They capitalize on the pain rather than the strength of the individuals for doing what they need to do at that particular time. Now, I'm going to say this. I didn't watch many of the videos, but I was hearing things about the situation that happened with 7 Stars. I am appalled. I am appalled. I am appalled. And it has to be a severe mental issue, let me put it that way, where you try to promote the idea that a child is responsible and that a 7-year-old child did something negative, which she acted in the boots or the shoes of a shero. Because listen, the life you save may be your own. That was appalling. That was appalling. And even with the Joyce vlog situation, the things that Joyce, I'm amazed at how people will jump negatively on someone making the decision to get out of a situation of domestic violence, and then out of the same mouth tell someone else, you should leave that. You girl, you don't need to be in that situation. Boy, man, that woman beating on you, you need to get out before they, I'm afraid that they might hurt you real bad or kill you even. As I said before, and food food junkie, a lot of times, and Tracy Living My Truth, and even Sean Bradley, I've heard them say, make it make sense. But then I hear that voice in my mind that says, you cannot make sense out of nonsense. If you can make sense out of nonsense, my brother or my sister, it is time for you to go to your nearest, not psychotherapist, but go to your nearest psychologist, psychiatrist, get help and get medication, because now you crazy. If you can make sense out of nonsense, you crazy. You crazy. makes no sense. And, you know, I've heard people on here talk about flip-floppers, but they have a tendency to use it in a context that I'm taking it out of that context, because the worst flip-flopper is the flip-flopper that flip-flops in their mind. An unstable man, no, and a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. Let me say it again, because I want that to sink in. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So, you cannot be stable if you're double-minded. And what I see, what I've observed as flip-floppers on here is not just people that's running to different channels and whatnot, but these people that are one way 1 minute, they with certain people on certain issues, and then when other people have those issues, they totally flip or flop or flip-flop. They support this person in their domestic situation, supporting them to get them out of the situation. But when someone takes courage and strength and leave that situation, they're going in on them. Where they do that at? And what's even more dangerous is that the people don't have a clue that this is what they're doing. Double-minded flip-flopping, unstable in all their ways. At that point, you're very close. No, you're not very close. That's mental illness personified. Double-minded, unstable, mental illness. And beloveds, mental illness is real. You know, I grew up, like I said, I grew up basically, you know, church environment, mother, pastor, national evangelist. So I heard that Jesus will fix it. You know, I heard that, you know, all of that. I witnessed all of the laying on of hands and Lord regulate the mind. Yes, there's some things that we have to do ourselves in order for God to really work. Okay. You know, there's some preparation. Faith without works is dead. Okay. There's no such thing as producing fruit without doing some work to get it. The principles and the laws of the universe are what they are, but they are there for you to work them. Let me say that again. The laws of the universe are there for you to work them. They exist for you to benefit. But if you don't do any work, beloveds, you're not going to get the benefit. And that is why so many of us are in a rut. We expect God, the creator, to come down and do the work, especially those of us who like to use prayer. So many of us use prayer not to communicate with God, but we use prayer as an excuse to do nothing. Oh man, that came from deep within my spirit. We use prayer as an excuse to do absolutely nothing and to put it all on God. Lord, I need you to do this, and Lord, I need you to do. But what preparation are you making? What work are you doing to manifest what you prayed about? What are you doing? You cannot get the fruit of a seed unless you do the work to plant it. And when you give it to the earth will produce it. It will manifest it. So if you're going to pray about it, after you finish praying, after you get up off your knees, after you get out of your secret closet, do the work. Do the work. I'm going to say it again. Do the work. Oh, I prayed about it. EBB Ashanama. I prayed about it and watch God work. No, I want to see you do some work after you prayed. Even with adding and subtracting and multiplying, there is a principle involved that you have to do to get to the answer, to solve the equation. The principles are already set. The laws are already set. 2 + 2 = 4. But you have to add the 2 + 2. You have to work the 2 + 2 to get the 4. It is the same principle of the laws of the universe. You have to do something. There is a requirement on you. And if I was in church right now preaching, I would say right there is a good time for a praise break, because God knows that's the truth. You have to do something. There are things that you have to do in order to manifest the things that you desire. Yes, God will grant the desires of your heart. However, you have to give him something to work with. I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So you got to do something. You know, I remember when Billy Preston recorded that song, and that song came on the radio. And it was an eye-opener, and it caused your ears to open up, because it is biblically, that is a biblical principle. That is a universal principle. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You got to have something if you want to be with me. If you want to be, quote unquote, on my level, if you want to be successful, if you want to be resourceful, if you want to be comfortable, nothing. I think I'm getting a little too excited right now, y'all, because I'm feeling this thing all up in here. Because regardless, it is the law of the universe. If you're not giving anything, you're not going to receive anything. I am grateful for this time that we've shared, people. Let's begin to transform by the renewing of our minds, so that our inner self will reflect on our outer self. What a change in my life. What a change in my life. Why? Because my thought pattern has changed. I have taken the active steps to change my thought pattern, and changing my thought pattern changes not just what I see, but how I see it. Do I see it pessimistically or do I see it optimistically? Yes, it is what it is, but here's what we can do to turn that from being this to being that, to turn that failure into success, to turn that fall into a stand. So we make the decision. We make the decision. Now, I have given you tools today. I have given you tools. Or better yet, let me say this. I'm going to change that. I haven't given you anything that you don't already have. I've just reminded you that you have it, that it is within you. I just came to enlighten you and to remind you that all of that is already built in you. But sometimes we need to be reminded. We need to be pulled by our collars and said, look, you got what it takes to make it. Here's what we need to do. I got your back. So I've reminded you that you have what it takes to change, to renew your mind. To renew your mind. I'm going to say that again. To renew your mind and begin your metamorphosis. Begin your conversion. And most of all, transform. Now, because everyone that is in this live, this very moment, I charge you that after this live, you will never, ever be the same again. You are reminded of the power that lies within you, that worketh in you to begin your new process, to transform by the renewing of your mind. I appreciate everyone that has come in today. You all continue to be a blessing to me. So therefore, in response, I bless you. Patricia Ellington, 6 of 7. J. 1700, Monk Chip, Angela B. Duppy, welcome. I haven't seen you in a while, but thank you for being here, Duppy. Felicia Fee. Felicia Fee. Hey, Rico. Welcome, Rico. Daytona Rico Barber. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. 6 of 7. Food Junkie. Food Junkie. You know how I feel about you, Food Junkie. Anyway. Nicole Reloaded. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Mysterious Mermaid. Welcome. We are all now see, this is another thing I want to say. Crazy 5000. You know how I feel about you. Listen, I'm going to say this to you. And Desi, thank you. Good afternoon. Listen, you are now responsible for everything you've heard. And you are accountable. You are accountable. You are responsible and accountable. So if you use it, not only will I be happy to see the results, but the universe will definitely be at your beck and call. Know your own worth. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I mean, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Know your own worth. Thank you. You are now responsible for what you heard. Now, I cannot force, make, browbeat, twist your arm into using the information or into using this word or implementing this word. I can't do that. No, well, I can't because I don't want to, because it is your responsibility. I've given it out. Now it's on you. You can never say that you didn't hear it. Renewing your mind so that you can transform your life. Renewing your mind so you can transform your life. One more time. Renewing your mind so you can transform your life. And when you do that, you're able to share it with no problem at all and see the results. Now, go from here and do the work. Do the work. And let's see how the atmosphere, remember, I always say you control the atmosphere wherever you go. Whatever room you walk in, you have the power to create your own atmosphere in that environment. You control your environment. So any environment you go into, you have the power to turn that atmosphere. So you have that power. You've been reminded of that. You've been reminded of the renewing of your mind so that you can transform your life. I'm happy that I could share that with you, not from a perspective of I have achieved and I'm in this place of superiority. No, we're all workers together. We're in this thing together. Again, the word comes to me first. The word comes to me first. It's just like the example of a bird that has a nest and she has hatched her eggs. The babies can't fly yet. They cannot go out of the nest to find food. So what she does is she goes out, finds the worm, she eats the worm. And why does she eat the worm? Because there are certain nutrients in her body that when she gets back to the nest and she feeds her children, there are nutrients in her that when she brings it up and feeds those children, it makes them stronger. So the word comes to me first. I have to get it down and I have to do some work on me. Why? Because when I give you a Wednesday word, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be real. And I want it to be backed with a life. I want it to be true. And that is the only way that it can be a perpetual blessing to you and to me. It is my endeavor to strengthen my people. So in order to strengthen my people, I have to ingest it first and relate to it first and walk in it first. Then give it to you with the nourishments of authenticity, transparency, experience, so that you can be blessed, so that you can be nourished. So now put it into practice. And I'll say this, put it into practice and watch it work in your favor. Watch it work in your favor. Watch it produce fruit. Watch it produce. You will see it produce in your favor. So much so until you will be surprised at yourself. I'm telling you, you will be surprised at yourself because you'll notice the transformation beginning. And your freedom, again, we are so enslaved by the thought patterns that we have. But you will find yourself becoming free. The anxiety will begin to dissipate. And you'll be walking with so much joy that you have to share it with somebody because it's something that you can't keep to yourself. And in doing so, look at how it perpetuates. You'll be blessing others. And you can never ever beat the universe at blessings. The more you bless, the more the universe showers blessings on you. The more you bless people, the more God blesses you, because he honors the fact that his word is true. And if you bless, you open up the avenues and the conduits for you to be blessed, uprising, down sitting, going out, coming in. And I said this before, pressed down, shaken together, running over, people will come and lay blessings in your lap. They will come and put blessings in your lap. And if you don't believe me, try it. Just try it. And tell me if I'm right. Because I've done it and I continue to do it. And that's why I do it. Not to get the blessing, but I'm so overjoyed about the blessings that I have received that I share them without looking for anything in return. Now, listen, let me tell you, ain't nobody asked you to donate to Johnny Mac 365, have they? Nobody asked you for your tithes, because that's not what we all about over here. I was, my arm was sort of twisted to get a Cash App. So I got Cash App, and to my surprise, an individual asked me, did I have a Cash App? What's your Cash App? And before I knew it, they had blessed me. And I was totally outdone, because my purpose is not based upon what people give me. My purpose and what I do is based upon what I have been given. Open hand policy. Freely I get, freely I give. Freely I give, freely I get. And the more you get, the more you're able to give, because you are a giver. Now, that doesn't mean you're a pushover. That doesn't mean that you don't give in wisdom. But all that comes together. And again, I thank all of you for coming in today to get a Wednesday Word. I'm grateful for the effect that Wednesday Word is having on YouTube, and how it's so funny. I have been in the bushes in different chats, and I have heard my words being repeated and repeated in context. And it just, it, on one hand, it's surprising, but it is endearing. And I do appreciate, there's my eldest son, just came in. I appreciate that homage, whether my name is mentioned or not. I appreciate the fact that I have said something that has went in and stayed, because that's where the blessing is, when it's gone in and stayed and changed a thought pattern. Because when you remember something, when you remember it, it works on changing how you see things. So again, people, I am grateful for you coming in. My two sons are here. Torian Donald, who is one of the moderators, and my vlog son, J.1700, who is my other son, my vlog son. I just said that. 6 of 7. I appreciate you so very much. So very much. This young lady has been harassing me about a certain question, and I'm praying about it. 6 of 7. And people have been saying things to me who I haven't even said anything to, in reference to the question that you asked on last week. And so I'm very close to that decision now, 6 of 7. And I appreciate your interest. I appreciate your support. You have been very supportive of me, and I appreciate that. Perfectly scared. Thank you. Felicia Fee. Thank you. Sonia Swaby. Thank you, and God bless you. Okay. I am going to ask that you hit the like button. That I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask that you hit the like button. And J Dot, I still need to get with you. Yeah, we'll talk, J Dot. We'll talk. Again, I appreciate everyone, and I decree and declare a blessing upon each and every one that was under the sound of my voice, and I decree and declare unto you much love, more love than your mind can conceive, more love than your heart can feel, and more love than your hands can hold. And the reason why I decree that unto you is because when you love unconditionally, you keep all the commandments and all of the laws of the universe are based upon, number one, loving you and loving others. So again, I decree and declare unto you love. And also, I declare and decree that your Thursday is going to be fantastically successful, filled with joy, filled with peace, and filled with transformation. Love you all. Thank you. And so long. Let's see. Wait a minute. Oh, my 2 cents. Hey, you were super late. Yeah, but you can catch the replay. And I do pray that the replay does bless you. Okay, I am going to do this again. I'm going to do this. Let's see, where is it at? Okay. I think that's got it right. Okay, this, ladies and gentlemen, is my Cash App. That is my Cash App. And this is my Gmail. That's my Cash App and my Gmail in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. So anytime you want to email me, I totally give you permission to email. And if you feel like you want a Cash App, you go ahead and Cash App. I'm learning how to receive, blessings from people when they want to bless, and not to cut people off that want to be a blessing. Because when you bless others, others will bless you. Again, I thank you all for being here. And like I said, I decree and declare unto you much love, more love than your mind can conceive, more love than your heart can feel, and more love than your hands can hold. I bid you a good day.